It's an unprecedented move, but federal agents have raided the office of President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen, seized papers, and he was cooperating with the investigation. Nevertheless, this thing happened. It is maybe the biggest bombshell since the Saturday Night Massacre during the Watergate investigation, except, of course, this one's flipped around. Hey, everybody, I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott, and this is The Right Angle on the legal and probably political ramifications of Monday afternoon's raid. Gents, there was a great piece by Ken White of Popak explaining exactly what has to go on before this raid occurred. And he wrote, a magistrate judge reviewed this application, that is, the search warrant, and found probable cause, that is, probable cause to believe that the subject premises, Cohen's office, Trump's personal attorney, contained specified evidence of a specified federal crime. Now, he says magistrate judges are sometimes a little too rubber stampy for his taste, and well, mine too. But here, Ken White says, where the magistrate judge knew that this would become one of the most scrutinized search warrant applications ever, and because the nature of the warrant of an attorney's office is unusual, you can expect that the magistrate judge felt pretty confident that there was enough there. Which means, Bill, whether or not they actually find anything actionable against the president or his attorney, what if we find out that Mueller's team, the New York office, the DOJ, the magistrate judge didn't cross every T and dot every I?
Well, first of all, my first reaction to this is I just think this is a coup. That's basically my take on it. I have not followed the Mueller investigation as closely as some other things, but I have yet to see any indication that Donald Trump has committed, high crimes and misdemeanors or anything of that nature. The left lost an election, and as somebody else pointed out, I forgot who wrote the article, they basically said, well, since they lost the election, then they're not going to abide by the rules of the election. They're not going to abide by the fact that they lost. They're going to simply do everything necessary to make sure that loss is eradicated as quickly as possible, hopefully within the next few months. That's basically what they're trying to do. I have a moral position on this. My moral position on this is if Donald Trump and his attorney did in fact collude on things that became that are in fact felonious crimes, then the president needs to be impeached and go to jail.
Yes.
And I'd feel a whole lot better about having that position if I felt that it applied to American politics, but it doesn't apply to American politics because Hillary Clinton, just as one example of an endless number of them, has basically lied her way through 30 years of these kind of things that are just out there in open public view. And her office was never raided. So when I say I think the president, if he committed a crime, ought to face the consequences of this, another part of me says we're past that point now almost, But that's not the point. They'd better come up with something out of this. Because if they don't, I don't know what else you say other than it's a coup. That's just what it is to me. And everything that they do with this president, everything is it's simply an inability to accept the fact that the American people got tired of their socialism and voted against it. And that simply cannot be allowed to stand.
All right, Scott, apparently what this involves is the payoff by Trump's attorney, Cohen, of $130,000 to porn star Stormy Daniels to keep her alleged affair with Donald Trump secret, which Mueller, I believe, thinks is an in-kind, illegal political donation to Trump's campaign. And, Dinesh D'Souza served 8 months on a guilty plea for something that is pretty much the same sort of a technicality, which brings us to the question, what the hell does any of this have to do with collusion with Russia, which was supposed to be the point of Mueller's investigation?
Well, and this is why I'm with both Senator Rand Paul and Alan Dershowitz, who have both opined within the last 24 hours that special prosecutors are inherently dangerous to the republic because of the low level of accountability that they face, and because their focused investigations can get wildly unfocused. I mean, we know that in any federal probe, over something like the Martha Stewart case, where they're actually looking to find out if there was insider trading, they nailed Martha Stewart not on insider trading, but on lying to the investigators. And so that is, so one of the ploys that the federal government uses to get somebody. And their argument would be, yeah, well, we couldn't nail them on the crime we really knew they did, so we had to get them on the thing that we could get them on. It's like Al Capone being nailed for tax evasion. So, I think special prosecutors are inherently dangerous. I think they're appointed because political people don't want to deal with the consequences of having to conduct these kinds of probes themselves. I think that you're correct. I mean, that Mr. White says there's a high bar for being able to go into an attorney's, especially an attorney's office. I mean, it's one thing to, kind of bust open the door on a private residence of somebody, who's an auto mechanic. But when you're going into an attorney's office, as a judge, because most judges are attorneys, that you are putting yourself out there. Robert Mueller knew that he is taking a huge risk by referring this to the federal prosecutor in New York. The federal prosecutor in New York and the magistrate all knew. The FBI agents going in, they all know that there darn well better be something there that rises to the level of federal crime, or you don't do this. Now, the alternative theory, and Bill has in the past talked about the idea that conspiracy theories break down once you go past a couple of people, because it's really hard to get everybody in on a conspiracy theory and keep them all together. But the alternative theory is that all these people are in on it. That somehow everybody from the special prosecutor to the federal prosecutor in New York to the magistrate to the FBI agents, every single person is anti-Trump and doing anything they can. And not only that, but so confident that they can pull this off that they're willing to risk their careers in the cause. I will suspend judgment on what's going on here with the specifics of this raid in hopes that there darn well better be something that New York federal prosecutor and the FBI have that rises to that level, or heads should roll.
Yeah.
Let me add something here.
Yeah.
Yes, this is all great. This is exactly what should happen. But what do you think will happen to this judge if they don't find anything? What do you think is going to happen to him? Do you think he's going to be out of a job? Do you think the agents are going to be fired? Do you think anybody's going to pay a price if this doesn't turn out to be it? They're doing it because they know there's no consequences to themselves. It is a no-risk venture for them.
And
because
Bill, your argument is that we are a banana republic now.
That's exactly right.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's clearly the case. So if Hillary Clinton gets to walk after the evidence that has been... But what do you say about this? We were talking about this when it was happening. If Hillary Clinton walks on this, then how do you possibly enforce the law against lesser people? And it's not even a question of prosecuting them, Steve or Scott. What makes you think that there are going to be any consequences for these people whatsoever if it turns out that there's nothing there? Yeah. What makes you think that?
And it's not that I have
either one of us thinks that, Bill.
It's not that I have such insuperable faith in human nature that I think that there can't be corrupt people in the process. It's just that I do still cling to this idea that there are decent people who are working in law enforcement, that there are decent people in the judiciary, and that the checks and balances required, as Steve started to outline at the beginning of the show, the checks and balances in place make it a very high bar to clear for you to be able to kick down a door, at least in this case. And let's just say you would do it if it was some nobody from Nowhereville and you knew that nobody would care. But in this case, every one of the individuals involved in this knows they're going to be under the microscope. I don't agree with Bill in saying there won't be any consequences just because Hillary Clinton's office didn't get raided.
Yeah.
There won't be, though.
All right, let me wrap this up, folks. You may have read or been told before that the average American commits about 3 federal felonies on average each day, because there are laws against and regulating just about everything for this formerly free people. And imagine your own just imperfect life trying to get by in the United States of America. Could your imperfect life survive the scrutiny of a multi-million-dollar team of attorneys with a hunting license to go after you? And I say the answer is no. Stalin's chief of the secret police, Lavrentiy Berea,
Beria.
I believe, is
Beria.
is it Beria or Berea? Russian
Beria.
names I always forget. He once said, "Show me the man, and I will find you a crime."
That's right.
Clearly, the police state attitude has come to this great country. I wish I had something better to tell you than that, but that's where we are right now. And if we don't stop it here, if we don't stop it now, I'm afraid it's over for us. And that's your right angle. Hope to have brighter news for you next week. So stick around. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.